to WooTube. We're back, kind of, sort of, in a small way, at least for now. Hi everyone, it's been a while. I wanted to make a video about this deck. I played it at not Summer Showdown, New Year's Showdown. And the reason I played New Year's Showdown in the first place was to play this deck. Because I think it's cracked, and it did very well. It lost one game the entire both days of the tournament, and that one game was an absolutely atrocious, like, drubbing by massive agenda flood. And you've just got to deal with those every now and then. It will happen. So I'm not upset about that loss at all. The rest of the games, I think it did excellently. I've recorded all the footage, and you'll see that coming up. I'm going to sort of give a quick explanation of the deck, and then we'll jump into the game footage. A couple of things to note. I do have to move around a few times during the footage, so you'll see camera angles change. One of the camera angles I picked, I spend half the game with my hand over my face, so apologies for that. You'll also notice that I've had a haircut since filming all of the footage, quite a significant one. So yeah, continuity, just a nightmare essentially. But let's talk about the deck quickly. So this is a sort of fast advance / a little bit of never advance PD rush deck, essentially. This is the version you should play. On the day I was actually on 2 copies of Drafter and 2 copies of Scatterfield. I do think that was wrong. So the deck list which you see here is what I would suggest that you actually do play. There's obviously some changes. Your plan is to score to 7, often by turn 7. You can do that quite easily, scoring a 2 pointers and a 3 pointer, almost all of which you can either fast advance out or jam early with some other form of getting sort of on tempo scores. The deck has a bunch of very, very cool things, kickflips that it can do, and let's kind of go through them. So firstly, we have 3 copies of Cohort Guidance Program. This is bonkers tempo early on. You should always use this to trash something from your hand. You can always bring it back later with the PD ability, because we are PD, and will get you great early tempo, and then also allow you to potentially jam and never advance either a 4-2 or a 3-2 with a counter, or a 3-2 and jam next turn, and is also going to allow us to do some particularly bonkers things when it comes to one of our other cards. So excellent option, and we're playing 3 of. We have 2 copies of Plutus, which is the real sort of killer of this deck. This allows us to do absolutely crazy things with a very small amount of other sort of board state. If we've just got a Plutus down, then we can score out a 3-2 agenda using some of the transactions which we're playing in this deck. Fast advance from hand with often for like a credit, or maybe a very, very small amount, but often almost sort of tempo negative or tempo positive. Now, if we have any other kind of tool to us, so either a wage workers or a cohort or a nano management or anything along those lines, then we can fast advance out 4-2s, and with 2 of those things we can fast advance out 5-3s, and this is our fast advancing out 5-3s for very little money, realistically. we also have enough nonsense and extra clicks that we can sometimes take money off something like a fully operational in the middle of scoring when there's Plutus involved. So money doesn't even really matter in terms of if we could score, we score. One of the things that Plutus does, alongside greasing the palm, is to install something at the start of your turn before all your start of turn triggers. And that means that if you have a cohort on the table and you have a face down in the bin, then you can install an agenda and then you can use the cohort to advance that agenda. Hence this very easy way of sort of fast advancing out 4 2s and 5 3s if we've got another tool. Something that you can always kind of lean on a little bit is one of the strats against cohort is to run the bin, keep it flipped, make sure there aren't face downs in there. If you have any face downs on the board, you can install the agenda over one of those face downs, giving you a face down in the bin to then flip up with the cohort. So there's always a chance, unless they can clear the entire board and flip archives and everything else. If they haven't contested the cohort or the Plutus, we're probably pushing and scoring next turn. We're on 3 copies of Wage Workers. As mentioned, this is pretty bonkers when we can do stuff with Plutus, but also just allows us to score out agendas using nano management and wage workers, so we can fast advance out 4 2s, which kind of do close to on tempo, especially if we've got when we sort of bear in mind PD triggers and possibly a trigger of the powers that be. We have one of these in the deck. This can get back our most powerful assets back on the board where once they've been trashed. So our Plutuses and our wage workers are generally the sort of things that we should be pulling back with the powers that be. But there are also times where we can use the powers that be to install a second agenda after scoring and still have enough clicks to then score that second agenda. One of the other win cons of this deck is that it absolutely snowballs the runner in installables. There's a lot of must trashes here, the Plutus and the wage workers being the most important ones. But if we just keep bringing back the things which they have to trash, even if they have sort of recurring credits for trashing, or even if they're running through our ice cheaply, there's only so much that the runner can keep going and trashing if we keep bringing it back before they run out of clicks and credits, and most importantly, all in that time we're probably still scoring and bringing stuff back with PD as well. We have a couple of copies of Spin Doctor. We don't really need more. I mean, more Spin Doctors would be good because with Plutus we're normally discarding cards, and that means that we can potentially discard agendas much more safely. But we've got so much recursion that essentially your Spin Doctors should pretty much only be used for looking after your agendas. So we also want to keep things in the bin. Really importantly, we have ways of getting our important assets back onto the board with things like the powers that be and 3 copies of ablative. So spinning back in things like Plutuses and wage workers is actually usually incorrect. We also like to keep things like fully operational and nano management in the bin, so that we can bring them back with PD when we score, so that we're ready to go for the next score. So we rarely want to actually spin back anything other than agendas. Obviously, there are situations where you might, but that's how you should be sort of looking at Spin Doctor in this. There's 2 copies of Nico Campaign. This is a very big flexi slot. These were originally auto campaigns, and you could definitely go back to being auto campaigns. Auto campaign does make 2 more must trashes, because if an auto campaign goes off, then damn, we get a lot of value out of that. I was testing Nico campaigns. You could also try humanoid resources in this slot. I've just not particularly liked humanoid resources anywhere other than the sort of very, very early turns, because you can't score when you're clicking off for humanoid resources. I think the one time is after you score a luminal, where humanoid resources is really good, but um, it's it's an interesting slot. I think I'm personally going to go back to playing Ottos for a bit, just because I think it's really fun and insanely bonkers if they ever go off. That's all our assets. Our ice is all very sort of cheap for us to res, and that's really important. We're playing quite aggressively early. We're just trying to push one of our economic assets, so a cohort or a Nico, behind a piece of ice early and sort of get going is the plan. And so everything here we can res, a couple of pieces of ice and still res a cohort, for instance, or even res a Nico if we've installed one of them using a red level or a greasing. So most of these are 2 or free free credits to res. We've got the 3 ablative barriers. I've already spoke about them. This card is bonkers in this deck because we have some very powerful installables. We preferably don't want to res this until you're at fret 3, and you will be at fret 3 reasonably fast, one way or the other. Obviously, if it's protecting like an early asset, then you will. But otherwise, kind of save this one. These are actually quite good on centrals, because you're almost always going to be installing, like I said, a Plutus or a Wage Workers, and it always has to be in a different remote, and so that normally makes it quite easy to sort of, you're never going to be installing them on a central. So I don't mind sticking these on centrals, or use them to protect something, an early agenda push or something like that. It's also potentially worth putting one of these on the bin if you're playing against something like Essa, because there's almost definitely going to be a spin doctor in the bin at some point, and being able to res this, get that spin doctor back and save any agendas which are in there at a key point is always a nice little trick. There's 3 copies of Scatterfield, which is a perfectly good code gate in this particular deck. We're almost never putting more than 1 ice on a server, so this is usually at its highest strength, and it's got a proper end to run. The install here is okay, but not always particularly, like, you won't necessarily always have something which you want to install with it. So it doesn't feel as impactful as you would hope. However, we have 3 copies of White Space. This is one of the best ice in the deck, I feel. We are all about playing as much as possible in the early game, and this is one of the best early game face checks for a runner. Unless they have a lot of money very early, they can't get through this, and even if they do, it's going to cost them 3 credits, which is perfectly good in terms of the fact that if this is protecting an asset that costs 3 or 4 to trash, then that's still a really expensive run, and then we might just jam something back in it next turn, and can they get through it again? Probably not, until they find an actual breaker. A really good early face check, and people do and should face check your ice early as HB, and so this really sort of punishes for that. In exactly the same way, Lamplighter is great in this deck. We use this to protect assets, so we don't mind about the fact the agenda scored or stolen sort of text it. Very rarely put it on centrals unless it's an absolute kind of the only thing that we have and we need to do something. And this is, again, it's going to cost the runner 3 credits to get through until they find their breaker, and then it might be a bit cheaper. But that's perfectly fine. If it costs them 7 credits to trash a Wage Workers, then we're really happy about that. There's also times where you will have someone barrel into this with something like a Bravado, not have the 3 credits to pay, and actually take a tag. and then have to clear that tag. And why do they have to clear that tag? Because we're playing 3 copies of Greasing the Palm. So we do have just enough sort of threat of tag punishment that the tags on Lamplighter are relevant. And at 2 cost and a sort of very soft end of the run, this is great. There's only 1 copy of Drafter in this deck. Drafter is not great here. It's weird to say it based on what I've said about recursion in this particular archetype, but if this fires early, it's not particularly effective. The runner probably hasn't trashed a lot of your stuff at that point. You probably don't have something like a fully operational in the bin, or it might not even be sort of you might not have the board state to make it worth it. So this firing early maybe gets you like back a Greasing the Palm and might allow you to install something. Late on, they're going to be able to break this anyway, and you would almost always sort of in the early game prefer to have an asset behind a lamplighter so that it's actually more expensive for the runner to get in and trash it. So we're playing 1. We can put this on centrals. We sometimes just use it to protect, something like a spin doctor, so that we get extra fully op value. But it hasn't felt like a great ice. We can't push agendas behind it, and it's just not great early. And our deck plays everything in the early game. In terms of the operations, we've got 3 copies of Greasing the Palm. As mentioned, this is a transaction. We can play this off Plutus. We can also use this as part of like a wage worker combo, along with red level clearance and nano management to install the agenda. It's also really good against anyone who floats a tag, and we are playing fast. Criminals sometimes have to play fast, and this means that they have to clear their tags after transferring us, which is ideal. It means that the transfers are less value to them, and we're not massively hurt by transfer most of the time. So this is really good. It's great against Seb players, obviously, and just anything else which happens to sort of take and float a tag. This could be great punishment. It's obviously good with Plutus as well. One of the best cards in terms of Plutus, because we can install it before the cohort triggers, which is ideal. We've got 3 copies of red level clearance, which is our second best transaction to play off Plutus. It's sometimes even better than greasing if we don't have an agenda in our hand, because we can clicklessly draw 2 cards, gain back a click. We've then got 4 clicks if we played this off of Plutus, so we can go install triple advance or install quadruple advance if we've got wage workers down. We can also use this off of Plutus at the start of our turn to install a wage workers from hand using the install ability, or something like a powers that be, gaining the click back and then scoring off it. So this has some other possible sort of benefits over Greasing the Palm, and we can also just use it to get sort of early. Use these early to draw and gain credits, or draw and install a card. Or just sell it to cohort because it's just as good in the bin, so that it's ready for when you've got a Plutus. Also sometimes nice to sort of install something and purge in 1 turn. 3 copies of fully operational. This is bonkers in this deck. We go really, really wide. We'll set up 3 or maybe 4 remotes fairly quickly. And then we're going to use this primarily to draw early on, just so that we can find tools. We need to have quite a full hand to play Plutus. We potentially want face downs in the bin to do stuff with cohort, and we want to find things like our nano managements, our wage workers, our Plutuses. So early doors, we generally use this to draw. Once we are really set up and we've got agendas to score in hand, things like that, then we might use fully operational just for money, so that we have enough money to do plays using sort of double nano managements and things like that. Speaking of that nano management, we have 2 copies, which is the perfect number in this deck. We're PD, so we can always just bring this back to in the late game. Like when we're recurring stuff with PD, early on it's usually fully operational. Late on it's always nano management, unless we need like another fully operational to find the last agenda. But 2 copies is perfect. You can trash one early to the cohort, no problem at all, because you can always bring it back with PD. This is better in your archives than in your deck, than in your R&D. So try not to spin one back early as much as it feels like the right thing, unless you've already seen the second. Other than that, we've just got our agendas, which is pretty sort of standard. We've got 3 off-word officers. We can reasonably easily score these out sort of tempo negative, sometimes tempo positive. We can jam these out as a sort of never advance play early doors and score them tempo positively. Luminal is busted and is a 3/2, and like the turns where you score Luminal in this deck, if you've done it off a Plutus ability, then get ready to just have the turn of your life where you'll take about 15 clicks. Ingaton is a perfectly good 3/2. Sometimes we will over advance this again to sort of bear in mind that idea of we're just going to churn so much stuff on the board that the runner can't keep it all down. This just brings back more and more stuff. Getting back a Plutus which they've trashed already like 2 or 3 times feels great. And Send a Message is the only 5/3, which makes sense. Quite often we will score or have a Send a Message stolen and not res ice, because the only ice that makes sense to res is either an ablative, and we never want to res one of these unless the runner is running on it, or it's face down ice, which is it's actually better for most of the time for it just to remain face down ice, unless we're really short on money or it really makes sense to res. I quite often just choose not to res. I prefer to have face down ice. It's scarier. The runner doesn't know what it is. They can't sort of compute the maths that it will require to get in and trash stuff. And that's the whole deck. It will go really, really fast. It does some bonkers plays. It can potentially even score 2 agendas in a turn. And it's an absolute ton of fun to play. Shout out to Core Gang, who was the inspiration behind this deck, or the deck they were playing at Worlds, which I got to commentate on, which started my whole kind of thing with Plutus PD. I've had an absolute ton of fun playing it ever since. And with that, we'll probably move on to some of the games from last weekend. Have fun watching them. All of my opponents were excellent, and shout out to Man and Moon for running an incredible event. Thanks everyone. Enjoy the video. Okay, we are back for round 2. We're playing against MillieLily, who is on Hoshiko. We have a just about good enough opening hand here. I like the cohort and ice to protect it, so I'm going to keep this, and we'll see what happens. We'll see if we... Oh, that's awkward. That means that we do have to protect HQ in quite a big way. Time hasn't quite started yet, so we won't start. So this is a PD. This is a Plutus PD list. It is playing 3 copies each of Red Level Clearance and Greasing the Palm, which are absolutely bonkers with Plutus. As they are both transactions, they allow you to install either agendas in the case of Greasing the Palm, or just get another click, sometimes while installing something important as well. It plays Wage Workers and other stuff. Right, let me think. What's going on here then? Right, we need to get this. We're going to put it with a white space. We'll put this on HQ because I do need to be able to protect HQ, unfortunately. With 2 agendas in there, it's a little scary. We might... You see, we might ditch the sender message to the cohort, which is kind of interesting, just so that we can jam this. But that could be a little too risky. Right, they're just taking a single, which is absolutely fine. They're Hoshiko. So they get value out of that. See what they want to do last. See if they want to plow into this white space, which would be lovely. I really like the white spaces in this deck. I actually just today dropped down from 3 to 2. Right, I think I'm going to play the slightly safer thing, and we're going to trash this scatter field, which is a little risky. Okay, greasing is nice. The powers that be is nice. We're going to draw. We'll draw. Oh, this is a little sketchy. So next time I need to be able to cohort something, really. So I might just have to take a credit here. And then we'll probably cohort the greasing. If we don't draw anything better to put behind the lamplighter, then we'll put the powers that be on the table. Let's see where they go, probably just into R&D. It's ironically reasonably safe of agendas right now because many of them are in my hand. Getting rid of his cohort. Okay, fine. What we might look to do then is put the Ingerton behind the white space and the powers that be on the table behind the lamplighter, and then we'll just look to get the cohort back out using the Ingerton score, which should be fine. They ditch a rising tide, potentially means they've got another one. It means they could get into HQ, but that's fine. We're going to install this as a new remote. We'll put this into this remote, and we'll put the Ingerton here. Means that we can get back both the cohort into this server here and also the greasing using the PD ability, which is not too bad. Obviously, if you challenge these, they technically could get through the lamplight. Oh, they definitely can get through the lamplight now. Worryingly, they probably can get through the white space now, but we are going to get this score, which is very nice. We get on the board. Looks like they're playing a vampire-ish deck, but different because it's certainly less. So this will get the greasing back, and we'll put the cohort into here. We'll see if they pop the Gachapon. I would potentially be popping the Gachapon at the start of a turn or on my turn, but they might want it to. They might want to barrier in ties. Now it probably means they're on Chisel, which is quite good against our white spaces. It's also, if they're on Cookbook, it's also quite good against the ablative. We hopefully don't really want to res this ablative until we're at Fret, which would be one more score, which hopefully shouldn't take too long. They find a Botulus. Might go and deal with this cohort using the Botulus. And or the Buzzsaw. Okay, Buzzsaw. Annoyingly deals with the white space even better than said Botulus would. The question now is whether we jam behind this scatter field or whether we worry if they're on leeches. Because if they're on leech, then the scatter field it gets suddenly very bad. If they're not on leech, then the scatter field is actually pretty taxing versus the Buzzsaw. They're going here for a single and a Hoshiko flip. Trashing something. Trashing a grease in the palm. That's actually fine. We don't mind having a greasing or two in the bin. because if we find our Plutus, then we can do some stuff with it. Second buzzsaw. So they're just on standard breakers, which means they need to find all of their breakers. Oh, we need to... right, so I think we trash... Good question here, actually. It might just be degreasing, although we might need the money. They don't have a way of dealing with the ablative yet, so let's trash this. Okay, red level is potentially good. Let's get this out first. I think what we can do is install the ablative in a new remote, gaining a click. We'll put the off-world. I think we'll use the greasing to install the off-world in server 4, and then we will draw. And gain money. I don't want to draw too much more because we're potentially going to PD something back into our hand next turn. We're probably not going to draw off the cohort because we're going to flip, assuming that we get to keep all of these things. If they install a rising tide and run here, then we won't. Our plan is essentially not to really res the ablatives unless we're at fret. We might. Okay, brilliant. We get another score here, so that's quite nice. So here we're going to flip one of these up here. We draw a luminal, very tasty. A triple advance and score. This is going to get us all sorts of things. So we're going to get the fully op back to hand. And then it's whether... I think we just install a scatter field from the bin on R&D. It just stops them sort of taking stuff out. Okay, they're on raindrops. They found their rising tide, but our ablatives are now worth resing, even without it, because we're at fret. For instance, we may get our Plutus down. Ironically, if we get our Plutus down, we may be able to win next turn because we've got face down in the bin. And the really nice thing about Plutus and greasing in particular is that it will allow us to install. Okay, so here I think we go for the Plutus and we go for the win. We can put the Plutus behind this ablative. Unfortunately, it's taking a card out of our hand, which means that they're more likely to hit the other stuff. Oh, actually, they've got a twinning here. That's potentially a problem. They're probably going to see a few. Yeah, steal the luminal. See a red level. Trash the red level. That's fine. We are now a card short of being able to red to the Plutus. That is a problem. Okay, them trashing the red level is actually a big issue. Bigger than you would expect. So we could ditch an agenda. It's whether it's worth ditching an agenda to score a slightly bigger agenda, which maybe it is. Here they're going for the ablative, which I think we don't want to res. Because we can't res this Plutus anyway. And we don't have a particularly great option in the bin. Seeing Plutus deciding on the nonsense that's happening here. Trashing. See a fermenter. Losing the Luminor is a bit of a shame, that's for sure. I think we can cohort the white space here to draw deeper. Wage workers is great. So we'll put wage workers in 4. We'll draw a ton of cards. We've got a nano, that's perfect for next turn. In fact, can we... No, we can't. I wondered if we could do something real nonsense. We could draw once more and see if we draw into another piece of ice. Because then if they run as wage workers, we can get the Plutus back. I think we will, because we've got a red level. Okay. What we'll do is get a second wage workers on the table. And then we can almost definitely score next turn. Actually, do we want to... I wonder if we want to... Yeah, sure. I was going to say we could hold on to the RLC in case we can fast advance out, send a message. We'd have to draw exactly another Grease in the Palm or another RLC or the other Biotic. If we get the other Biotic, I think we can do it anyway. So I think that's just fine. We'll just do that. Maybe that's a waste of a potential winning line. It possibly is. Twinning could be a problem. We've got two in hand. We've got technically enough for them to just win here. Yeah, clearing out archives is definitely sensible. So we can almost definitely score the off-world next turn. They'd have to run both of these, and actually if they run the ablative, so here we can fetch for Plutus, and we could put it behind this lamplighter. We could put it behind the lamplighter, which they currently would have to pay quite a lot of money to get through. We then wouldn't get a powers that be trigger next turn. What's the chances that they break both of these? Or we just put it out here. Which I think is potentially fine. Yeah, I think we are going to do that. So we're going to res it, we're going to get the Plutus, and we're going to put it in a new remote. Here they have to pay 1, which they have money to do. They have to trash this for 4 if they want to trash it, which they potentially should. And then they probably need to go and get the Plutus, meaning that we probably keep this wage workers, or we keep the Plutus and we win. Plutus will cost them 3. Put them down at about 4 credits, 3 credits to start next turn. They're getting the wage workers. I think that means we win. Maybe. Thinking, no, I think I needed a face down to win next turn. Okay, so we res the Plutus, we ditch, thinking. We res the Plutus. We ditch the fully op, the Nico, and the cohort. Unfortunately, we go in face up. If we still had a face down, or if we had something that we could over install which would give us a face down, then we'd win next turn. As it is, we're going to install this for free. Or we draw and gain a click. Drawing 2 and gaining a click, I think is better. Still thinking. Tricky one. What's the chances? Oh, we don't have a wage worker, so I think installing with the... If we don't need the money, then we should draw off the red level. And then we might find something that we can cohort. So let's do that. So we'll review on trash free, which will, we need to keep the nano management. We could trash the sender message actually. We could trash the sender message. I think we do, because we can't score it this turn, can we? We'd need to draw exactly the other nano management. Yeah, I don't think we can. So we'll get rid of this, this, and this. What if we had installed the other cohort off the RLC? No, it wouldn't fire. So now we will Plutus, draw 2. We can install here. Oh no, we need to gain the click. Draw further. Now we draw the wage workers. Oh, and we drew the other biotic. Wow, we could have done the 5-3 here. Do we want to? I think we just we can be really rude here. I think we want to get the 5-3 back into hand. Put that in a new remote. And then we can either go boom, 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 or we can install, res, install, and then go boom, 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 boom. That means that we can put another piece of ice in front of this Plutus, which does protect it for one more turn. So we put this in server 4, we'll res it. We'll put this out, which gets us a free click. We'll go this, 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 another one. We'll score this. We'll do the off-world money. Powers that be. See, now is the real question. What are we getting back with powers that be? Is it a wage workers? Another wage workers? I think it's the cohort. And we'll put a fully operational into hand because we have 1 nano management, which should be enough to do all sorts of nonsense with. And now we just need to draw the last agendas. Which should be very doable. We have some clickless draw at the start of our turn if we need. This is fine and interesting. I guess this is them just wanting twinning counters. Pinholing here. This is interesting. Why not just archives? I need to do this to get this, and the biotic. So they can trash only really the cohort, and the Plutus is the more valuable thing here. We do have a second cohort. Scatfield is just an end to run right now, but that's good enough. Going back, I'm going to sweep HQ. So start of turn. Oh, I forgot to do this. Whoops. Draw 2 cards. Gain a click. Wow, nothing. So, we actually have enough to draw our entire deck, I think, and still do stuff because we've got the wage workers and that. There. This one. And I'm going to have clicks remaining. I think I could have done a 5-3 there fairly easily. So many clicks, and we forgot to res. I wish Kaiko had shown up. Yeah. It can do some nonsense. So even though they kind of kept us down, trashed the things they were meant to trash, they just keep coming back. Powers, ablative, PD itself, it can get quite rude and really just keep kind of putting the pressure on the runner to trash the board or find the points in HQ. One card it could do with maybe is Escape Net, deal with twinnings. Might be something, and it sometimes has a ton of money. If you ever get if you can get a Plutus to stick for a couple of turns, then you're just so full of money. It's insane. And fully operational is obviously pretty bonkers as a money card. Right, that's the Plutus PD deck at Tu Plutus. Hopefully we have some more games like that. See you shortly. Okay, we're going into round 3, playing against Golfe Wick, which reminds me of the name of a Pokemon player. It's like Wolf Glick. I'm assuming it's sort of a take on that. So this is interesting. This is very nearly a keep. If we had one more piece of ice, then we're good. think we might still keep this. It's possibly a bit sketchy, but we will find out. So MuslihaT, we're just expecting kind of good stuff here. So now MuslihaT can go quite fast, which will be good for them versus us. They've taken a mulligan, which is probably a good sign for us. We can't start yet, but oh, that's a really bad draw. So I think what we're most likely doing here is drawing, and then we might have to protect R&D. Unless we draw into exactly... No, I wouldn't do it. I was going to say into an RLC. Okay. Here we go. Right, so let's draw, click 1. Okay, second piece of ice is good. I think we can just protect HQ with a scatter field. So we might draw one more time. And then greasing down a scatter field. Which is slightly slower than I'd want to be going. They've drawn a bravado, good to know. Okay. Unfortunately, we're showing them the scatter field, but at least we get to res it for free. Slightly scary. They're on Penny Shaver as well. That's actually really good for us. They play incredibly fast. Now, nicely, this ablative is already online in terms of doing stuff. So let's draw once. Draft is good for R&D, but what we might do is we're going to get a cohort on the go. That is a concerto. No, they're going jailbreak again. That's terrifying. Okay. Kind of wanted them to trash something here. Here we'll res the ablative. Has this got... That's hilarious. It's a concerto into concerto. We will res this, and we'll install, I think, a drafter in a new server. I'm going to put a wage workers in this one. They're going again. Oh no, they've got a Kurapira. Ah, nice. And they have some money. That means they can clear out the cohort. They're down to 1 credit. All right. Nothing we can do to get value here. Drafter seems good. We'll draw 1. We'll put this in server 2. We could put a Plutus down already. I think we just get the second wage workers behind here. They can run it. Doesn't feel amazing. Or we protect R&D. I think I want this scatter field is the problem. I'm just going to put this in server 1. We know they can get in. They know they can get in. We'll see if they do try and get in. Boomerang going here on the drafter. They're going to have enough money for this, but we are going to res it. We're really poor all of a sudden. We'd love to draw a fully operational this turn. Keeping their money kind of down. Let's draw some cards. We'll gain some money. We will put this behind the drafter. And we'll click for a credit. Not being able to get that early cohort to stick is a problem. God, they play so fast. I missed what they did. We saw them draw a biobands. They've installed a Chesva. They're running here, so they're going to get an install using Chesva credits. They placed trash costs. So they didn't get anything that they wanted. Do we score here? We can't really. We don't have the money as much as it would be kind of sick. Okay, that feels nice. Let's draw once. I think we get the cohort down. We protect it with Scatterfield. Okay, no, they didn't have a thing, so that was what was on top of the deck, the Mystic. Going to put it down first to see if they can get a charge off it. Doesn't happen. So here, I think we have to trash the Plutus off the cohort. Okay, fully up, finally. So I think it's Powers, Scatterfield, or we do the agenda Scatterfield. No, I think we go Powers, Scatterfield, and then we're fully up to draw 2. We might draw another 2, and then we're gain. We can chuck out this red level. So next turn, we could score out the off-world. Checking the bin, very wise. Oh, they trashed a Spin Doctor. I missed that. This feels like this might be Cable Carnage. Like, just from the speed that they're playing, I realise that my hand's probably not a good place there, is it? Because this is someone who knows JNet very well. Okay, Revolver. If they get rid of the wage workers, that's really annoying. Excellent. They are not going to have enough money to trash this wage workers, so that's perfect for us. They'll be able to see it. Right. So, don't want to do the Plutus yet. So the wage workers, the big question is, are we cohorting here or not? We're going to be able to reinstall something with the Powers, which is probably going to be the Spin Doctor. So we could actually, we can get rid of the send a message, and then because we're going to reinstall the Spin Doctor off the Powers. But does that put too many things in hand? Because we're going to pull back a fully op probably, or maybe the Nano. It might be the Nano. The other thing is, can we just score this sender message? We kind of nearly can. We kind of nearly can. So maybe just trashing the Lamplighter, I think feels fine. Second Nano. Okay, wow. That makes things really interesting. So we'll res the Powers, we'll res the wage. Score this. We're getting off-world. Powers that be. We could get second wage workers out, but I think just a spin in a new remote and then fully op into hand for next turn. Concerto. They're playing 3 concertos in here. Essentially just a very sort of fast deck. Yeah, going and getting rid of the wage workers makes sense. They can't get in here yet, and they can't get in here. They're our sort of worst servers in many ways. Hopefully we can just get this wage workers back with a powers that be trigger. That's fine. Wisely checking archives, because otherwise we could do absolute nonsense with the Plutus. Not that they necessarily know that. So that here they're going to find the Plutus, which they will need to clear most probably. They will still have a click to click this penny shaver, which is doing a lot of work for them. Do we res the spin doctor here? Definitely shouldn't have. Yeah, we really shouldn't have actually. Do we want to trash a card to draw more? I like all of these cards, although weirdly we might trash a fully op. That's kind of wild, isn't it? But we're going to. Okay, we can just score a 3-2. Get ourselves like a Plutus back. Possibly even in this server here, behind the scatter field. It's kind of fun. They can get through a white space. They can't currently get through a scatter field, but they could with a boomerang. It'll cost us 4, 5, 6, 7 credits to score out the Ingerton. And then we either could go for, gotta think. We could go for like installing something behind an ablative, like the spin behind an ablative. And they possibly have to run it. Or we put the spin behind the drafter and just waste a bit more of their time. We like protect R&D, maybe with ablative. Put this in server 2. And then it's either ablative or, I think we put the ablative in R&D, on R&D, and then we're just going to take some money. so that we're now like pretty safe to start just nano managementing out. Yeah, again, checking for the flip. They also do get a penny shaver credit for doing that, so certainly worth it. Okay, this is actually kind of sick for us. So here, we probably get the Plutus and we put it in the powers that be server. Because they can't get in here. We can get a face down into archives, which means that we can do some pretty big nonsense. So it's whether we try and score out the 5-3 here. We don't have a powers that be that anymore, which is a problem. Oh, this is going to get rid of our face down, which is a shame. Or our potential face down. But here we probably use this. So what do we want to score out more here? Probably the Ingerton. Put this back in. We'll put the nano management back in. We'll res to draw some more cards. And we will probably just let them trash this. So unfortunately we can't do cohort nonsense. But this should be good enough. So best option here. Are we drawing more? I think so. So we'll Plutus to draw 2 and gain a click. Gain a click. Now we can trash a card. Let's score. I should have used the greasing there. It's my fault. That one there. And then we want to get wage workers back. We'll ditch one of these. We'll install wage workers in server 2. Keep them busy. Next turn, they now have to deal with a lot of the board or find a way to steal all the points off HQ. No multi-access here, which is good for us. No steal. It's lots of money. Luckily it's a scatter field, but they will be able to get in here. I think we still res it. It will cost them 4 and then another 3. This does suggest that they are on leech. Can we win here? I don't think so. Right, so the white space is now useless. So that's good to know, or pretty much. So we can trash that. I think scoring the off-world is probably the better option here. I think we just about can. Yeah. We'll get a nano management back. Got a free 2 in hand. They're on 2 credits. Bravado. Enough to get them through, and we'll give them enough to run HQ at least once. Correctly nailing their option here. Hit a white space. It's good for us. They can hit Penny Shaver and go back. And I don't even have to hit Penny Shaver and go back. They hit and send a message. We'll res a free scatter field. And I think we're good. I think we're good. Sorry, I've probably been covering my face again. Trash 1 here. And score out with nano management. GG. A little. Oh, that was tense though. They play incredibly fast, which means that it's actually really hard to keep up with the MuslihaT. This is probably the best way to play MuslihaT. It's like really game a way of doing it. If you play so fast that they can't see what you're revealing, then you're probably the downside is not there. But 2 wins for Plutus PD so far. That's what we've come to do. So far so good. On to the next round. We are into round 6, playing against AceEmpress on Magdalene. Very good shaper player. Okay. Greasing feels good, so I think we draw 1, and then we greasing this behind an ablative. And that's good enough for me. Got to be pretty wary. Well known for playing a little bit of jank, and might well have some surprises up their sleeves. Okay, early nano management is good. Obviously, they can threaten this. We kind of don't want the ablative as the other piece of ice. If we can find something else, Scatterfield is decent. I wonder if we want to get the powers down. We put the Plutus. It's very early to put the Plutus down is the problem. I think I might put an ice on R&D just in case. I don't want to get I don't want to get like conduit dug without anything to stop that potentially happening. So we're just going to pay a bit of respect for that. Also, could well be on a sort of girls type build, so we've got to be aware of that. Anicam, second SMC, so plenty of options here. We want to find a wage workers ASAP, so draw, and I think we're going to have to just sort our hand out a little bit here. Because it is messy. It's unfortunate. We don't really want to have to use spin doctors like that. We only have 2 in the deck. Nicely, this Nico hopefully pops off next turn. Draws us a card. There's a good chance that they challenge. So we shall see. They're not too scary yet. Okay, Mystic, lots of money coming down. Mantle, that's very scary. So we could be looking at sort of twinning. If we draw into exactly a wage workers here, then we might have a cool play. We don't, but we might just score this out. We can get the powers that be down first. Then we can score out the Luminol. So we're going to get, so we either get the Luminol back or we just get the, I think we might have to get the Nano Management back here. That goes in there. And then we go draw. Oh, that would have been good. Draw. Or credit. Maybe just credit. Make sure that we can res the ice here. Okay. So the Nico's back. Likely that they challenge it, but we do have a scatter field. There's a good chance that they are on Phasarum. I know they are a fan of Phasarum. Got an overclock here. Probably dealing with Nico, indeed. So we either just let them in. I think I'm going to res. I want to force something here. If it's Phasarum, then that's annoying because that's the cheapest way in. If it's anything else, like Unity's pretty bad here. Penrose is cool. Very cool. So using the mantle credit, they'll still have money to trash for Nico. We probably don't res the ablative if they run for the ablative. Quite happy with them spending the money on that. We would love a fully op. So they get for our scatter field for 3 credits. That's still enough. Like, it makes wage workers expensive to trash. Nice. So here, if we res, we do go very poor. They have to pop this other SMC. I think we just let them in for this one. Bit of a shame, but that is fine. Getting the Azimat down. Nice. Okay, well that means that we can push something here next turn, potentially. If we draw exactly a fully up here, then we might go install fully up. Second mantle down. So break this for 1 real credit now. I think getting the wage workers in is most important. If they don't take a credit first, then even if they run this, we can just let them see it. Drawing. I'd love to not res here. I think they're going to be a credit short, so this is quite nice. Oh no, they're going to. Oh, this is Nico. Okay, fine. Well, that's a shame. It's a bit scary. Oh, that's really bad, and we don't want to res either of these, I don't think. I like my secrets. Alright, we are credits short of being able to nano management out the off-world. But we do have threat free now, which is nice. We would really like to find a fully op. Decisions here. We see an illumination. Oh, putting the ablative earlier did work there. So throwing out a pinhole, a mantle, and illumination, not having the MU to install. Okay, we found a fully op. So the question is here. I think we just go Plutus into fully op to draw to gain 2, gain 2. And gain a credit. They're not showing a way of getting in at this wage workers at the moment. They can go and trash the Plutus. They should go and trash the Plutus. They don't go and trash the Plutus. We might use that fast advance instead. We'd be trashing the other Plutus and these 2 ice from our hand. It's probably worth it. Yeah. It's all 3 overclocks out, which is good. Big creative here. Now we should have enough money. 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, exactly enough to score out the off-world, which is nice. So the big question is, do we want to also install the Plutus? I don't think so. This is now free strength. That's fun. Say still need to boost. I think just scoring here and getting the fully op back is probably best. Still 2 off-worlds in the bin. Yeah, this now becomes a problem. We can hypercharge Mantle, hypercharge Twinning, dealing with the Spin Doctor, which we have to shuffle back. We've had these in here from pretty much the start. Checking HQ. Probably boost once, yeah, to get an extra. Hopefully just don't see the Plutus. We'd like to keep that. Fully up, white space. Okay. I think I want to get the Plutus behind Lamplighter. Sure. All right, at this point, I should point out that this deck is very much inspired by. All right, the famous AceEmpress Stream Curse. Dang. So at this point, I should point out that the deck that I'm playing is heavily inspired by a deck which I saw Leah, or Call Gangs, play at Worlds. I've been playing it ever since Worlds. Leah is currently commentating on this. So now they get to commentate on my version of their deck. Very cool. Right, we're going to get this Lamplighter in a new remote. We're going to get a click. We're going to install the Plutus behind it. We're going to draw 2, gain 2, and then we'll get this ablative on HQ. So with the Plutus next turn, if it stays out, we can score out this off-world. It needs to stick around. It's currently behind a Lamplighter, which can be broken or can be walked through. Especially now. Chromatus Force here. Super fun. This is going to see a lot. I wonder if we should ditch an agenda from hand. Yeah, sweep the whole of it. We really want a Spin Doctor out here. I think we're definitely thinking. So we have a Plutus out. I think just getting a Nico out is potentially better. Alternatively, we get Powers that Be out. I think we need the Nico. So this gives away the game. It gives the game away that the Plutus is here. Right. White space. Send a message. We're gonna res. Nothing. Scatterfield. Okay, I think we can score here. I think I need the nano management more than I need for fully operate. Or do I? Yeah. Okay, but Plutus feels reasonably safe. Well, not that safe. Definitely not safe anymore. But we have more ablatives. Pretty Mary, that's terrifying. This ablative... We can install the spin doctor. Oh, wait, we can't get in here. We can't get in here. Oh, that's fun. So we definitely res this, and then it's what we get after that is the big question. Thinking. If we put the Plutus... Oh, they don't have... Okay, there's no... I think we get the other Plutus. Although we need draw more than anything. Do we res the spin doctor from hand? Do we install the spin doctor from hand? Okay. I don't think they have a way of breaking this. Fine. Don't need to trash this one. It gives us the backup in case they go for another one. Now I kind of want the spin doctor down, but a check-in. Might as well sweep the hand. Probably trash the spin doctor. Yeah, which is where maybe I'd have wanted it. Nico campaign. Plutus, we can draw clicklessly. Draw 2. Gain a click. And we're there. Okay, we are into round, I don't know, round 9. Playing it Tang, or Ytang. This particular instance. This is close to being good enough. Very close. I'm gonna mulligan and regret it. I do regret it slightly. So far, we're doing all right. Probably again, not going to do much commentary this time because I need to somehow concentrate. Hi there, this is Baran Wu from the future. At this point in the evening, it's got very late and I get very tense, and I do not talk for this entire game. So I thought I would drop by to help with a bit of commentary. So we've opened up with a red level, pushing out the Nico here behind a not Scatterfield, the other one. Early leech is a bit scary because it means that we're likely on Buzzsaw, and Buzzsaw does deal with our ice pretty well. Here we just see an early draw of a Luminal and we decide to go for an early never advance push. We could have possibly waited till next turn and tried to fast advance that out, but kind of want to possibly be able to hold on to this nano management at the moment, as much as we would get it back. But it's pretty expensive to nano management out stuff. Now we're considering scoring this out. However, we can greed it a little bit by waiting for next turn if we can find something to protect the powers that be, and that's what we're going for. We're going for sort of maximum gain off this early score here. So we draw into a couple of pieces of ice. We decide to protect our own HQ here. It kind of has to be done. 2 sender messages in hand is pretty scary. Tang is likely to just keep pushing out here. What we do have, which is really nice, is a red level clearance in hand, which means that we can get down the powers that be and still score out, get the PD trigger, get the powers that be trigger, and start spiraling there. What we don't have yet is fully operational, which is a shame. Would be a very, very powerful way to bounce back here. But we're gonna do the play. We want to just here. I think we're deciding whether we're putting the powers that be behind this first piece of ice, or whether we're just going to put it out in the open. I think also at this point, I'm actually deciding whether I want to reinstall something from archives or not. The Nico is okay, and bearing in mind that we don't have a huge amount of money currently, it would be all right, and we don't have like access to fully operational. We are deciding to go ahead with the powers that be, just deciding whether it is going behind the white space, and it is. Triple advance for the luminal is probably going to get us the Nico back in the server 2, or we're going to pop it out naked. And get the Plutus behind the piece of ice. No red level here, so we're pulling back the no RLC here, so we're oh gosh, no fully operational here. So we're pulling back the red level clearance so that we can potentially sort of keep digging for more things. Drawing a lot of agendas is a bit of a problem. Kind of okay because we have one spin doctor on board. We didn't find anything else to build up more board state here, which is a shame. So we're just taking the money off the RLC. Now got to kind of consider what to do next turn. We are able to score out another 3-2 next turn if we want to, but Tang is starting to show breaking tools. We've got a rising tide down. It's only a matter of time before Buzzsaw comes down, and then our ice is all kind of pretty easily walk throughable. Here we're discarding a sender message and an off-world. So importantly here, we're keeping the agendas in hand, which will allow us to win. As much as if we had a wage workers or even one in hand, we'd consider keeping that off-world because it would be a better on-tempo score. Here, as we have sort of the tools that we have to us right now, we can potentially win off scoring just the 2 agendas in hand, which is ideally what we kind of want to do. Tang getting down a Fence of Fueno, a little bit scary, bearing in mind that we have lots of trashables. It also looks like it's their only way to charge for twinning at the moment, which is, I'm guessing, why it came down. I think we're considering fast advancing here, and we probably are going to, but we'll see exactly what I do. I would imagine the turn is greasing into fast advance of 3-2. I think the issue that we have with that is not having a good server to put anything in if we get it back with the powers that be. So at this point, I'm probably considering, am I just putting out the other spin doctor with the powers that be? And we'll see if that's what I end up doing. We are going for the fast advance play. Pretty tempo negative, this particular one. Powers. And still hadn't quite thought of this. Only things in the bin are agendas which aren't looking great to install. So it's either we put the Plutus out completely blank, we install the ablative, or we get the second spin doctor out. We do decide to go ablative on R&D. It's quite a nice place to have it in general because we're almost always wanting to install assets, and so putting your ablatives on HQ and R&D is a good way of normally ensuring that you can always install the reinstall in whichever server you want it. Tang gets down a Gourmand, which is pretty scary, as much as they have plenty of money and they have Fence of Fueno, but that will also potentially be able to disrupt some of the combo parts in our hand. Our nano managements are fully operational, things like that. So it's scarier for that reason rather than just the trashes. Although trashing a wage workers for 0 credits and a card is also a particularly good thing. Dealing with the spin doctor, which we have to use to shuffle back, and then we'll see where Tang decides to do with their last click. They're taking the fermenter, so they now have oodles of money, which is a bit scary. We haven't drawn into any more ice, not that ice is going to be the best thing for us right now. We'll see if we can draw some here, drawing a couple. We do draw a drafter, which is quite nice. It's the only thing which Tang can't break. No, sorry, they don't have a bustle down yet. But we get the drafter down, and we're going to get the Plutus down behind it. We now have lots of potential Plutus targets in the bin, but no wage workers and no cohort. So we don't have quite the full kind of complement of options here. This is a tricky decision here. I actually realized that this drafter doesn't do a huge amount, which is a bit of a problem. If Tang had been kind enough to run it last click, then it would have been much better for us. But here, we don't actually have an install from the bin, so I'm genuinely considering whether this drafter res is correct or not. Getting back one of the RLCs of a greasing is pretty mid right now. Like, the RLC does allow us to find more tools clicklessly, and potentially add some combos. And we are deciding to res. This makes us go down pretty poor though. So we're going to get an RLC from the bin. We're going to install a spin doctor in a new remote, which is about the only thing in our hand which makes sense to install. We can install the cohort, but with 2 credits on the fencer, they'll likely just go and trash it. Even our good ice now, so our scatter fields and things like that, as they are on Buzzsaw and Leech, everything is essentially going to be a credit to res, to break, which is why we're not going to break this. They do find a nano management, and they do gourmand the nano management though, which is pretty scary. Deciding on this send a message target, and we go for the HQ white space. Last click, challenging the spin doctor. The big question here is whether we pop it, because actually having the nano management in the bin is usually fine. We are deciding to get it back into hand here, along with an RLC. The Plutus is staying in the bin because we have 3 ablative barriers with which to reinstall it, so it's one of the best things we can possibly put in the bin. We've finally drawn a fully operational at a point where we don't really have anything in servers to use it with. Still no wage workers this game, which is a real problem. So we've drawn to find some more answers. Haven't found them, so we're just taking the click because then we have sort of the most potential options available to us. Getting the cohort down behind the drafter seems fine, and then allow us to get more value off this fully operational. Drawn into another RLC, but nothing to jam in server 2. We're probably considering whether we're putting an agenda in there at this point or not. Taking some money so that we do have enough to play sort of a double nano management turn if we need to. And here we're going to ditch an agenda into the bin. This seems and is risky, but we have to play some risks at this point because Tang is fully set up, going to be running and trashing for very little, and with the twinning building up every turn, they're more likely to run HQ and R&D, and we can hopefully just let the agenda chill in archives and hope they don't run it. Obviously, they are now at 5 points, so any time they run the bin, we lose the game. But we have to make plays like this in this particular situation. We've drawn another off-world office, which is really awkward. We do have the ability to fast advance it out with a double nano management. Here we're drawing first to see if we can find a wage workers, which would make it a bit easier. We don't, which is annoying. So here we can go for just a 3-2 score. We can go for the 4-2 score. If we had a wage workers on board, I think we're maybe a credit short, but we could have gone for a 5-3 score. We're just deciding to score at a 3-2. That's going to get us a powers at B trigger. It's going to get us a HB, a PD trigger. All of that is pretty much good enough. Getting the Plutus here is obviously the most impactful card in the bin. Potentially wins us the game next turn if it doesn't go unchecked. And then we're also going to pull back. I think we're thinking on the nano management, but we're technically too poor to play this. So this is an interesting turn. I think I was considering the fully operational, but have a feeling that Tang's going to trash for, or at least trash for Plutus this turn. They know that they can't leave that unchecked. So the fully operational won't actually have a huge impact. It's probably only going to fire a maximum of twice. So although Ytang was very rich and was running cheaply, they still getting poorer. Here deciding to pinhole the Plutus, save them a credit, and they are reasonably short on credits. This is obviously the disgusting thing about the deck. We res the ablative to get the Plutus and just put it straight back into server. So now Ytang has to consider going and dealing with the Plutus again. Has another pinhole. Feels really like Groundhog Day from both sides. But importantly, we're keeping Tang busy enough that they can't just run HQ and they don't have time to check the bin. We finally draw wage workers. This is turn 9 and we've drawn our first wage workers. We would have been quite upset about how long it took to draw one here, but we don't have a way of winning at this turn. We will do if the wage worker sticks next turn, or alternatively if we just have enough money to double nano management. So I think here we're just going to take money for the double nano turn. We need 8. We need 12. So we are a credit short. We have enough to nano management score if the wage worker sticks. We can score the 4-2 from hand. But here this is super tense. We've got 2 in 6. Importantly, no twinning counter here. So Tang just taking a single on HQ, a single on R&D, not finding the win. We take a massive sigh of relief there because we really could have lost that at any point. We see another wage workers on the top of the deck, obviously, because we're now probably mostly wage workers in terms of our deck, and we score out with a credit to spare. A real tense one there. Twinning, sort of earlyish twinning, definitely being a problem. Tang being able to run cheaply and effectively, but still draining a lot of their money, even though they had a lot of stuff sort of set up. Let's hear my final thoughts on this one. That was super tense. Super tense. Okay, we are in Top Cut. Apparently. Top 16, we got to pick sides, and I have picked, I'm playing against Di Krale, who I ID'd against last round yesterday, so get to actually play them. I've picked their As deck because they're playing As, and I want to see it, and it looks cool. We've got catalogers in here. There's a badge, which is probably going to be good for them. Wake implant, luckily not much HQ pressure. I mean, alarm clock is good HQ pressure, but not much HQ multi-access, which is good for us. This looks like a terrible start, so we will ditch that for sure. Let me see if I can find their deck again. Here we go. They're on Cat's Cradle, Kurapira, and Revolver. And three boomerangs, and then a masterwork, prog Q loop. Pan weave, 2 pan weaves. Rude. No way of searching for their breakers, but you probably don't need it when you are As and you have masterwork and 3 boomerangs. Alarm clock for HQ. We've got to be aware of his cataloger. We could just lose to that out of nowhere. I'm not too worried about the Magletric Rapids as our ice is cheap. But other than that, I'm going to mulligan this one. And we will await round start timers. Okay, not a great opening hand. I need to apparently double check the sides are in correctly. These can all go. Yep. Oh, 4 minutes. Okay, well, in which case, we can talk about my decks, I guess. So here is our Plutus PD build. Let's zoom in a little bit so you can see. Essentially, it is planning on sort of maybe never advancing out an early agenda. The rest of them get fast advanced out. It's relatively easy and surprisingly cheap if we have the right things down to fast advance out even a 5-3, which is very nice. So we can often win in just 3 scores. You do have enough nonsense in here to even score out 2 agendas in one go. I think even a 3-2 into a 5-3, but you really need to have like quite a lot going on for that. But it's possible. It's using wage workers to kind of either help us fast advance out 4-3s, 4-2s from hand with either Plutus or with nano management. It's got 3 copies of Grease in the Palm, 3 copies of red level clearance. These are obviously transactions, so they work perfectly with Plutus. They also are just good kind of tempo cards, and we can use them along with wage workers sometimes to sneak out an additional kind of click. Sometimes we can play fully operational in the middle of scoring for free or for click free if we have one of these as well. Grease in the Palm is also really nice because there's a bunch of decks at the moment which are floating tags. Criminals have a tendency to float a tag, and we have a couple of lamplighters, which is a much better ice if the tag means something, and it does here. We can obviously score out a 3-2 from hand with a Grease in the Palm if they have a tag. We can score out a 4-2 from hand using Plutus and a Grease in the Palm. And we can score a 5-3 from hand using a Plutus and a Grease in the Palm if they float a tag, and we've got a wage workers down. So all kind of quite good. The deck has an absolute ton of recursion, including PD itself. We've got the powers that be bringing stuff back as we score, and we do tend to score quickly, and so we get triggers off this if it's down. And then also we have 3 copies of Ablative Barrier, which can just be absolutely brutal in terms of sort of late game. They've gone and they've trashed all our stuff. They make a run on a different server. We arres Ablative Barrier, and we just put back the Plutus or the wage workers or whatever it is that they've just gone into trash. Right. We are a minute away. Round has begun. Good luck. Have fun. Right. This is like not the greatest of opening hands. So let's zoom out a little. That's not helping really in terms of stuff that we need and want, but we'll go with it. So here we can draw a couple of cards and probably gain a couple of credits. We might actually install. We're going to go with putting this in new remote. We're going to protect it with a white space, and then we're going to put the ablative on HQ. The ice in this deck is very, very cheap. Very, very cheap. And the reason for that means that even if we kind of have to res stuff early, then we're fine here. I mean, we technically can't res both of these and the cohort. But we can res enough, and we can even sort of duck down below the range if they transfer of wealth. Originally, the ice was even cheaper. I was on 3 lamplighters. Oh, okay. This is where we like just lose to cataloger turn 1, which is terrifying. Did say we were going to lose to cataloger. So they can also rearrange stuff here, which is a bit scary for us. What we're going to do next turn, we're going to sell the nano management to the cohort. We don't need this right yet, but we can just put it in the bin. We can bring it back with PD later. We're going to draw through the cataloger lock as well. So that would hopefully get us a piece of ice which we can put on R&D. That's good. So here we'll resin start getting a bit of. Okay, so here we can draw. I think just gaining 2, or we go install. No, because we won't be able to res and do stuff. So I think we're just gaining 2 here. We could put the wage workers out. I want to draw once more, and then that's really good for next turn. This can go on R&D. So next turn, the question is are we getting the wage workers down, or are we getting the? We could even go like Plutus and try and score out next turn, because we could go Plutus behind Scatterfield, fully op. We've got face down. Plutus, we got face down, but we don't have a greasing in the bin. So greasing plus cohort means like nonsense. That's what we're really that's where we're really good, because we can greasing the card out before. So we're greasing the card out, and then we do the cohort to flip a card and put a counter on it, and then triple advance and score, for instance. So the question is here, how greedy we get in terms of the fully op. Because we could fully op next turn, which is potentially worth it. We've then got a really good, well, we've already got something good that we want to get. What are we trashing here, though? I mean, it could just be the Nico. Maybe the Nico is the worst thing here. As much as I do want the money, but yeah, okay. It's fine. So we could go for Plutus here if we want to start scoring. If we go Plutus, but I also want I'm going to want the wage workers down. We could put the Plutus out like naked. That feels really bad. I think we put the wage workers out naked. Maybe just force a bit of money out of them. If they let it go, then it's very good for us. We do this in the new remote. We're going to res it. We're going to go Plutus. We're going to go hard for. Okay, I think I want to get the greasing in the bin. So we draw 2, gain 2, put the greasing in the bin. So next turn we can res for Plutus, get ditching cohort, wage workers, and white space, and score out an off-world if they don't deal with wage workers, or flip the bin. That's nice. Solidarity badge. That's cool. That means they're probably going to go and trash this wage workers. We do have a second one, so we can go sort of wage workers behind here. We could score out the Ingerton. I assume they're looking for a clean getaway here. They're on 3 of them. So this is fine. This is going to eat up a lot of their money. Does get them some tempo, which is good. Like, we could look to score just a 3-2 here, but I don't think we want to do that yet. So let's trash this one here. Okay, so we want to go wage workers down behind an ice, so we can draw once, and then we'll go wage workers and the ice. Okay, we're quite nicely set up here. They kind of potentially have to run archives. If they don't run archives, and we get the best kind of score. Where we even have a click left afterwards to potentially do something else. Probably install a spin doctor, because I think I might be ditching one of these agendas. Fastidiously flipping archives, which is sensible. Okay, getting this down somewhere. Probably HQ, but we'll see. Unless they're looking, they might be looking to go and get rid of a cohort. Or they might be looking, okay, that is the Plutus server, which is a shame. Luckily, they don't have quite enough credits unless they take another one first. They could go credit clean getaway. Here we will res. I don't think they've got any sneaky secret credits from anywhere. The big question is, do we have enough money? We should do, yeah, just enough. Just enough. Okay, so then we've got to decide what we're trashing. I think the spin has to go, unfortunately. Just double checking that I definitely do have enough credits, and I do. So we get rid of these 3. We have greasing in the bin. Technically, do we want to play a red level instead? We gain 2 credits. I think having the red levels there is... Greasing is somewhat more powerful, but it will only be more powerful next turn. So for now, we're just going to use the greasing. That's nice. Score out the off-world. Get the money. We're going to get back the fully op. So next turn, if they don't deal with a Plutus now, we continue to wheel out. We just score again. We have a variety of ways which we can. Waking plant. Could be scary. Unfortunately, we don't want to res this ablative yet. Oh, that's nice for them. We've got exactly what they need. We really don't want to res this yet, and it's not really helpful. So I think we just let them in. Snipe the off-world. Now they should go back, and they do. Hopefully they don't just get the other one. They don't. They do kill the spin doctor. Okay. So the question is, do we need to get a spin doctor back here? I think the answer is no. So the Plutus, we're going to play this to draw 2 cards and gain a click. We could trash here, but I think I want to keep HQ safe. No, we will do. Okay. That's kind of cool. Right, so here we'll go this. 1, 2, 3. It's whether we want to be able to pull back something which would be useful. We could get a spin doctor. Or we can play the fully op this turn, which would also be good. Or we put the white space on HQ. Maybe we put the white space on HQ just to stop them going absolutely ham. Because as much as getting a spin doctor back is good, I'll be on 6 credits. I will be able to res 1, 2, 1, 2. I'll be able to res everything, nearly. Or we just go for the win, which would be to go fully up here. I don't think we want to fully up here. So card from archives is probably going to be the other nano management. Although maybe it's a red level. Because we already have wage workers. So sure. So we already have, so it's whether we want to get the second nano. Don't think we need the second nano. So I think we get a red level. We'll have 1 red level to play in. Oh, we need to keep 1 in deck at least. Or we get back the spin doctor. No, I want the spin doctor in bin. This. End turn. Ignoring all costs. Didn't know that was ignoring all costs. So that's cool. That was 1 cheaper than I thought it was going to be, which is great. So we do have a red level in the bin, which we can play off this Plutus next turn. We then have enough things in hand with the wage workers and the Plutus click to fast advance out a 5-3 using the nano management and the fully operational to get money, which is pretty hype. So we need to just not lose. Magletric. Might be trying to de-res the scatter field. Or I guess they're just installing it for free. It draws a card with Masterwork. Class act. Okay, we might get to pop off big time here. Let's find out. Right. Plutus. We're going to draw 2. Gain a click. We can draw another one here. So let's trash. Okay. So either we go for the easy score, which is we either score this easily or we dig for the 5-3. I think we do the easy score. Because we can then get the nano management back, right? So 1. Sorry. Or we play the red level to draw 2 first in case we pull a 5-3. Wow. Do we score this luminal? No, we keep the luminal in hand because we easily score it next turn. Play 2. Let's get back the other nano. We've got 1 in hand, so this seems fine. And then we either discard the Plutus. I think we discard the Plutus. So that if they run this ablative, it's only that ablative really. But we can get a second Plutus on the board. Seems fine. Q-Loop coming down. Now we've kind of got the win in hand, which is nice in so many ways. But we can just lose on R&D. And R&D is like walk-throughable. This is good money for them. We will res. We'll res the ablative. So we either get the second Plutus out. I think we just put a spin doctor out. Just so that we don't lose to like cataloger. Right. Don't hit the 1 in 6. We could draw to make it less likely. It'd be pretty sick if they hit it. Because we can't. Should we have? Maybe we should have installed a different piece of ice here. Oh my gosh! They hit the 1 in 6. Wow! Wowzer! Maybe I should have drawn. Maybe like other piece of ice here. They could just barrel into this, knowing that they can probably get through anything. Wow! Big dig on R&D probably gets them there. They've also got cataloger. The big dig is more reliable. Wow! They hit the 1 in 6. Oh, that's brutal. Like that was our. Electric is card, not ice. Fun. Okay, I just realised that I was wondering what they'd deresed, and they've deresed the Plutus, which is kind of cool, and is the most sketchy thing. Now, luckily, okay, there's no point in us resing this, I don't think. Let's draw off here. Okay, there is one send a message, so that's good for us. We can score this whatever happens next turn. So there's no point in resing this to cost them money, because either they win here or they don't win here. So we just have to put back cards. That you know, make. Oh no, wait, I don't want to do that. Just in case I need to use it off the Plutus. We'll put back the fully op. We'll put back the other spin doctor. We're going to see 4. Last one. We've just got to fade for one other send a message. We've just got to fade the one other. One's in hand. Oh, we faded it. We faded it. So here. I can technically forfeit an agenda here, but I'm going to do it this way just in case. So here we do the Plutus first, and we get to do the real cool trick. So we're going to do the greasing to put this in the new remote. Oh, and they've got a tag. We'll turn a face down card to put on here. We'll go this. Score it with 8 counters.